All right, and we are live. I have an expert panel of native Brazilians. You've heard what this clueless, dumb gringo lost running around through South America thinks about Brazil. Now we're going to hear it from the true experts. I'm just going to give a quick introduction about what the video is going to be about. Then these guys can kind of introduce themselves. They're all native Brazilians. I know some of them have lived in the United States for short periods of time, and I think one of you guys is either living there now or you have. All of them speak English better than I do, so it'll be great. We're going to cover a lot of things. I want these guys to bring up some topics, too, where we're going to talk about living in Brazil, dating in Brazil, what Brazilian women think of dating gringos, how to have success, what our favorite cities are, staying safe. Is it a feminist country? Is it becoming a feminist country? Is the South really better? Because in all my comments, everyone said, go to the South. The South of Brazil is like so much better. I want to talk about Jetinho culture later. We'll talk about that.
What?
But
Jetinho culture? What's that? Jeitinho.
Jeitinho.
Jeitinho. Meu pronúncio tá muito ruim, meu sotaque gringo, né? Mas I've never said
You
that
sounded
word.
like
Okay.
you said small jet.
Oh, yeah. I have bad Portuguese.
Fine.
My Spanish
It's
is a lot better. I
fine.
think my Portuguese is probably like a 5 or 6 out of 10. My Spanish is an 8, and my English is fluent. Okay, so let's start with you, Luis. Sorry. Luis, introduce yourself, and then everyone else can go around and introduce yourselves, and we'll get into some of the topics. I want to hear your guys' opinions on these things.
I think the best way to introduce in this panel will be telling the story how we met.
Yeah.
So I've been working here in Brazil for a while, for almost 5 years now. I don't want to say a dating coach because I don't really like this this
But you are.
title. But yeah, pretty much helping guys not only succeed their lives in relationship with women, but with themselves, and making the world their playground. So I've been doing boot camps all over Brazil for the past 2 years. Have done recently a few in Europe as well. And yeah, I make content about talking to women, emotional intelligence, and yeah, pretty much everything that involves relationships and getting deep down in your soul,
Yeah, it's a good self-help channel. I used to download your videos when I was learning Portuguese and listen to them. And your username means like don't bitch and don't complain. Sem mimimi means like don't be a victim.
Something like that. Yeah, don't complain, stop complaining, and just do whatever you have to do, regardless your social skills, your physical condition, your knowledge about making money. Yeah, so pretty much it.
You see Luis in real life, he's about the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger too. He's a massive guy. And yeah, we'll talk about this more, but one thing Americans and Brazilians have in common is we both love to complain about our country. Brazilians love to complain about Brazil. Okay.
Sure do.
Yeah. Kaleo, you go next, and Gustavo last. Kaleo, introduce yourself, and then we'll get into some of the topics.
Whoa, you actually got my name right, because very few Americans get the pronunciation of my name correct for the first time. So thank you, buddy. Well, where do I begin? Well, my name is Kaleo. The Portuguese pronunciation is Kaleo. Kind of hard for Americans to pronounce. But anyway, I am not good at dating at all. It's kind of a miracle that I'm married. But what do I know about women? I grew up with 7 girl cousins. I am the son of a divorcee. My mother is divorced, and she was still continuing into the dating culture even when I was little. What else? And I'm a history teacher and English teacher. So I know some things about female psychology because I grew up with 7 girl cousins. And I have a smaller sister, 15 years younger than me, and she's American. Long story. She's American. I'll tell you later why I have an American sister. And because I'm a history teacher, I kind of understand the reason why women act the way they do in Brazil. There are a lot of cultural reasons as to why, for example, there is the pay for play. It's something that often happens. Why is it that when they see an American guy, they be like, wow, an American guy, he's into me? Why is it that just being an American, you basically earn at least 2 points in your scale from 0 to 10? And I'm not
People,
kidding.
yeah.
I'm not kidding.
No,
Yeah.
people always say like, "Oh, Casey, I see you're getting all these beautiful girls, all these 8s in Brazil, 8.5s, maybe even I've seen you get with the occasional 9. There's no way you could get those girls like with the same consistency and same hotness in America that you're getting in Brazil." And I say, "Yeah, no fucking shit. Why do you think I'm here?" Let's talk about that.
Hold on a second. I can kind of compare the culture of Brazil and America, because when I was a teenager, I went to high school in America. From 2001 to 2008, I lived in the United States. This is why I speak English. The reason why, my dad got divorced and married an American woman. And he's married to this day to this American lady. And I even got a sister from this second marriage of my dad. So I know both cultures personally. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, yeah, and I believe in the comment you had something to say on the pay for play issue. So I want to talk about this. Let's give Gustavo a chance to introduce himself, and then that'll be the first question. Yeah, Gustavo, who are you, buddy? Welcome to the panel.
Right, thanks for having me. Well, where do I begin? So I got in 2021. I broke up 8-year relationship, and suddenly I found myself in a world that everybody was like seeming insane, like ultra progressive, especially in the academic environment. And I mean, it was nothing like what I remembered from 2000 and I don't know 7 or 8 or 9 when I first got into the university. And then I don't know, I started researching and getting to know the how this ultra progressive liberal
woke,
whatever.
The word in English is woke. The woke.
Woke, yeah, exactly.
Do they have a word for that in Brazilian Portuguese? Wokey, or
not
do they
really?
Yeah,
We
people
have some attempts.
Word, yeah.
Sorry, Luis, what'd you say?
No, this word, at least here in São Paulo, people are starting to use it. Woke as well.
Wokey?
Yeah.
They say wokey or woke?
Woke.
Nah, wokey.
They say woke. Okay,
No,
wokey.
As everything else in English that is pronounced in Brazil, wokey.
Yeah, wokey. Facebooky. Chiquitoki.
Yeah.
All right. Let me back up here. Luis, you've lived all over the place, but you're a Paulista, which means you're born and raised in Sao Paulo, and that's your home base. So most of your perception, I know you're very mundial, you're very citizen of the world, but most of your perspective is going to come from Sao Paulo. What about you? I'll try to pronounce right. Calao.
Just say Calao. It's easier. I am actually from the northeast of Brazil, which is a more it's very different culturally from São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. It's where cities city? Like Recife. I'm from João Pessoa. It's not a very famous city, but it's very close to Recife. Kind of close to Fortaleza, not so much.
I'm in Fortaleza now, by the way.
Oh, you're in Fortaleza. Oh, so you're kind of close to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the culture here can be very different and very much less globalized than São Paulo, Rio.
Yeah, and very liberal, I believe,
not
there
as backwater as the Amazon regions, though.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about Manaus later on.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Gustavo, where are you located?
Well, I'm native from the north, and I'm from Belém, but I live in the countryside of Sao Paulo for, I think, 15 years now, 15, 16 maybe.
Okay. But you're from Belém. Okay, cool. I want to talk about Belém too. By the way, if you ever see him on my phone, I'm taking notes. Like I know, Gustavo, you wanted to come back and maybe talk about woke stuff kind of taking over. Luis, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that as well. So I'm just been taking notes. I'm not like texting friends or anything, but I'll just pronounce it like a dumb gringo, Kaleo. First, I want to hear from you. What do you... Well, I'll ask this question to you first, Kaleo, and then everybody else can kind of weigh in. And my audience knows my thoughts on this. I have this theory that whether you're talking Medellin, Colombia, Miami, Los Angeles, Sao Paulo, anywhere in Nigeria, wherever it is, anytime you get into an environment where you're talking about the serious, true, beautiful women, I'm not talking about all women. I'm not talking about cute girls. I'm not talking about 6s and 7s. I'm talking about the stunners, the 8s, the 8.5s, the 9s and above, that 80%, maybe even sometimes 90% of them either are or in the past have been involved in some type of sex work, OnlyFans, full-on prostitution, webcam modeling, or they've been on Meu Patrocinio, that seeking arrangement, like the sugar daddy websites. I'm sure I'm saying that website wrong, but Kaleo first, what percentage of the girls do you think are, of the beautiful girls, again, we're not talking about all women, what percentage of the stunning, beautiful girls in Brazil are pay for play? And give us your thoughts on that, but make it somewhat concise because I want to give these guys time to answer too, please.
Good question. I wouldn't have any statistics. When you said pay for play, I imagine any sort of interest a girl may have in a financially well-off situation a guy may have. For example, I will only date you if you got at least $1,000 per month, or even more than that. I wasn't really thinking about prostitution, OnlyFans, or anything of that sort. But what I see is this: that if a girl is at least an 8, she'll say, "Whoa, I got an asset here, and I gotta make this work for me, for myself." The girls that do OnlyFans and things like that, or even hardcore prostitution, maybe I'm wrong, but from my perception, it's not a lot. But what I'm pretty sure is that if a girl is at least an 8, she'd be like, "I'm not gonna marry any guy. I'm gonna have to marry a guy who has a good job. I'm gonna have to marry a guy who is way better off than I am, because I don't want to be in the same hard situation that I'm in. I gotta use this to move ahead in life. I'm not gonna settle for less or even the same as what I have right now. I gotta use this asset that I have." But then why don't you go study? Why don't you try to become a professional person? Well, it's harder here in Brazil. Brazil is not a land of opportunities. You gotta study twice as hard to become a successful professional here, because there are opportunities here and there, but it's more scarce. So if a girl is hot, she will just say, "Well, I have a shorter route. I'm already hot. I'm already sexy. Why can't I just find a rich guy to marry with?" Or if she is less conservative, if she's more liberal, "Oh, maybe I will even do sexy modeling like that," or even worse, prostitution.
Okay.
But the percentage I wouldn't be able to say.
Yeah, so you're maybe saying of like outright some form of actual sex work, you can't say 10%, 20, maybe as high as 30, but you think it's a low percentage. But I guess the other ones, of the truly beautiful ones, you would call, the word in Portuguese, I believe, is interessada or interesada in Spanish.
Yes, exactly.
Means,
gold diggers. Yeah.
Gold diggers. Yeah. Okay. So you're saying that small 10, 15, 20% is maybe outright sex work, but the majority is not doing sex work, but like, you've got to be rich. You've got to be making good money, or they're not going to date you seriously. They're not marrying for love. They're marrying for money.
Yes. I have a cousin, for example. When she was 20, she was an 8. If she worked out, if she took better care of herself, she would be a 9 or 10. She was like really, really hot. But the guy she's married with right now, he's like a 6 or a 5 for a guy, but he is from a well-off family. His family is made up of a lot of important lawyers here in the town. And I'm like, whoa, why did my cousin settle for this guy? I mean, well, the answer is pretty obvious, because ever since she was little, her dad, my uncle, and her mom told her, "Girl, don't settle for less. Okay, you're gonna have to use what you have to move up ahead in life."
So they get it from their family, including the men in their family. Interesting.
The family, yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry to cut you off. I want to give these guys a chance to jump into. First of all, we got a super chat. Thank you, Monty. $10 super chat supporting the channel. Unfortunate to hear wokeness has infiltrated Latin America. Yes, Gustavo, I know you had things to say about that, so we're going to talk about this later. But first, let's give these gentlemen a chance to talk about it. We'll do Luis first and then Gustavo. So Luis, what do you think? What percentage of girls in all of Brazil, Sao Paulo, are like outright selling it? They're at Scandalo or they're on the sugar daddy websites, or give us your thoughts on this. What do you think? Again, only speaking about the beautiful women, not all women.
Obviously, it's hard to just say a number like that. But I will tell you by my personal experience that I personally never met in real life a girl that was working in any kind of places like that, like online making money like that. And obviously, I'm from a city where there's a different environment than other places in Brazil. When Kaleo was saying, "Oh, there's not a lot of opportunities," that I wouldn't say this is the same thing here in São Paulo. If you really want to work here in São Paulo, you wouldn't have a problem, especially if you're a pretty girl. You have a easy job, whatever. Like I'm talking about being a secretary or being a doctor, a nurse, whatever. So I wouldn't say, well, based on my personal experience, that I do a lot of approaches, that I've done a lot of boot camps, that I do a lot of mentorships with not only people from São Paulo, but people from other places. I wouldn't go as high as 5%, just to throw a number.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my personal experience. Now, if you talk about girls that would just be with you because maybe you have money, then obviously the number will be higher. I wouldn't know exactly the percentage, but again, I wouldn't bother too much about that, because if you are smart enough, you can tell right away if the girl is into you because of other things that not only you as a man. So obviously, if you are a guy, that's something that I always talk about with my students. If you don't have anything going on in your life, if you don't have a good physique, if you don't have, what do you say in English, game, yeah, what else do you have to offer? Only your wallet? Yeah, so you're gonna find girls that will be interesting on that. And if you are willing to kind of play that game, go for it. But yeah, if you have interesting things going on in your life, you are an interesting person in your personal life. I wouldn't say you have too much problem finding girls here that are interesting, not only to suck up your wallet, or that are interesting on other things beyond yourself. So yeah, that's kind of how I see those
But are
dynamics.
they eights or nines, or are they? That's a
They're
question for Luis. But these girls that are not on the gold digging side, are they eights or nines and tens, or are they more like the average girl next door?
eight, nines, and tens. Yeah.
I will say one
That's new
thing.
to
So
me.
I'm gonna take a middle stance on this. By the way, this is Luis's Instagram, and if anyone wants to come to Brazil, not only, I mean, if you want to come to Brazil for the purposes of dating, there's probably no other human being on the planet besides Luis who's better suited to help you with that. I mean,
Thank
he's
you.
native Brazilian. He's 100% fluent in English. If you want to know anything about Brazilian culture, or specifically, any, I don't know, mistakes that you might be making but not aware of, that's his Instagram, and it's in the chat. But anyway, so I'm going to push back a little bit on this. Maybe I'm just a dumb gringo, but we're going to talk about Sao Paulo specifically for a second. I know Banana Cafe. I know what Banana Cafe is. It's basically a big brothel, but even other places in Itaim BB say it's, Hotel Unique, or is it Unique Hotel, whatever, Sky Bar at the rooftop, or there's some other ones. Back when, oh my God, Suton, back when Suton was still a thing, that nightclub, Vitrini, and Mahau Bar. These are all in, I think, either Pinheiros or Itaim, or they're in Sao Paulo, wherever they are. And bro, if I was talking to like the sevens, the 7.5s, maybe even the odd eight, I could, get a little bit of a, interaction going, maybe get a few Instagrams, few numbers. It was always difficult because my Portuguese wasn't that good, especially when I first met you. It was pretty lousy. It's better now. But bro, a lot of the girls would eventually tell me, "Oh, I work at Scandalo. Oh, I work at Casarao," or they would just give me their price. They would say, "Yeah, it's like mil reais, a million reais minimum." And again, maybe I'm just a dumb gringo. Maybe it's like, well, yeah, you shouldn't go to Vitrini. You shouldn't go to Mahau Bar. You shouldn't pick up girls in Itaim. You got to go to I don't know, XYZ other place? Is it because I'm a gringo, or do I have no
I
game?
would
What do you
say
think,
it's the
Peter?
places. Yeah,
Just the
these
places?
places. Yeah, these places. I will tell you because I was born and raised here, so I kind of saw how São Paulo changed it in the last 15 years, let's say, you know. So I'm
Mhm.
32 now. I go out here in my city since I'm 16, pretty much. So I've seen how the atmosphere was and it is now. So I would say back when I was in college here, that I started studying here in Brazil, I was actually studying in that area that you mentioned, you know, so that area where there are a few universities, there are a lot of offices as well, and everything was changing obviously because of social media and how the girls were, let's say, giving less of this attention that they are having now, and then they have, I would say, they were more human, if you could say something like that. You know, they could just like look in your eyes and have a honest conversation. And I think it was like 2 years ago that I went to Mahal, and I was like, this is so fake. Everyone here is fake. You know, like what is going on? And I'm not only talking about the girls, because I saw that dynamic of like guys just buying a bottle, barely drinking the bottle, and just trying to attract women with the bottle. And I think they do this in America as well, but they do this ridiculous thing here in Brazil. Whenever you get a bottle, there it comes like with some kind of a stupid light. And I'm like,
Sparklers is what they're called in
yeah,
English. Yeah.
why? This is ridiculous, you know. So you want to show to the whole club that you have like money, that you have a small dick, that you have to show how how your wallet can have a weight here. So yeah, I can tell you that this is on other places that I go anymore. I don't recommend people that come to São Paulo to go to these places unless that's what you wanna find, you know. If you wanna just hook up with some genuine smart girls, also sexy girls, I would recommend you to go to other places. And one of my favorite lately is Ibirapuera's Park Ibirapuera, because that's where the athletic, healthy girls go. There's no alcohol involved. There's a lot of tourists as well, you know. So that's actually one of the places that I do my boot camps. So yeah, I would say this is are the place. Obviously, yeah, if you want to go to some party, you know, like you want to drink a little bit, talk to some girls, laugh with your friends, yeah, go to these nightclubs, have this Brazilian experience of nightclubs. But I wouldn't say that is a good place to find um, good good looking girls. You obviously, yeah, you can find it there, but they are girls that will come with more problems afterwards, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. So maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's warped my perception a little bit, you know, going specifically to, yeah, especially like Souton when that was opened up. Like it might as well be an extension of Scandalo, which is, if you guys don't know what that is, it's like a huge brothel. And my audience knows this. I've said this a lot before, but one thing you mentioned, and I would say this is especially the most true with Sao Paulo, is I thought once upon a time girls were like book smart and very logical. I wouldn't say American women are smart, but like in America, they were smart, at least book smart, college educated.
Okay, now he's off.
E caiu.
Pois é, cadê o cara, hein?
I think his internet got off. I don't know if we should keep this in English or Portuguese.
Our audience is American, so let's keep it in English then.
So tell
I,
you go Gustavo. Tell your opinion about
Yeah, I think he was like like falling into these tourist traps or these hot spots where there is a lot of pay to play behavior, and it scares away the you know the civilian girls, if you know what I mean.
that's a good point.
Uh,
It scares away the civilian girls, the normal girl next door kind of girls.
yeah,
Yeah.
and uh, well, that's one thing you can. It's not about nightclubs are a bad environment. It's just that the ones you pick might be a hotspot for this kind of behavior, and then you just have to know your way around the place. which places to go. I mean, it's always a good idea to have like a local friend to keep you away from tourist traps and this kind of thing.
Uh, from what
Yeah.
I was listening to Luiz saying about the changes that São Paulo has gone through in the past years. From what I understood, is that lately the things had become more intense, and as Gustavo said, the nightlife became too intense, too carnal, that the regular girls just got scared, and now they're going for more I don't know, going to Starbucks or even a more cozier place to meet a nice guy.
Thanks for keeping the conversation going for me, guys. Yeah, Brazilian internet. Although here's the thing about Brazilians, they love to complain about Brazil, but if a foreigner complains about Brazil, then they smack you. They don't like. They
We'll
don't
give
like,
you. I'll give you a free pass. I'll give you a free
Yeah.
pass.
It's just the internet. I don't think. Yeah.
No,
But
no,
anyway,
yeah,
just to wrap up what I was saying, my point was, I thought girls were either like book smart and masculine and dry, American, or I went to Medellin, Colombia. And I thought, oh, they can be actually very feminine and dumb. Brazilian women have the best of both. They have like the intelligence and book smart and have an intellectual conversation that like you would find in an American woman, but they still embrace their true femininity like you would find
That's
in a
a good
Colombian
point.
woman. I think, yeah, especially in Sao Paulo. They like, you can find, like, I dated one girl who was like a corporate tax attorney. She had a certified public accounting degree and she and a law degree. But with me, she was just like a kitten. So anyway, that's what I was saying. And yeah, you guys were saying that you think it's more of a recent thing. This change of social media has made things so superficial and open the door for webcam modeling, OnlyFans, sugar daddy websites, more superficial. And I'm being the typical dumb gringo by going to these environments where that's where you find it versus like, yeah, if I go to cafes, more like day game spots, Ibirapuera, wherever, I don't know, shopping Morumbi, or I don't know, whatever.
I think
malls.
one thing you have to make clear for the audience is that prostitution here is legal. So there's like a very clear line between hooking up and for money and doing OnlyFans, and just your average Instagram thought. There is like a very clear distinction, and you can suss it out very very quickly. So, but yeah, it's become more. I don't know. The world's become bigger, so people are aspiring to date maxing or whatever.
Yeah. People's standards are just going up because you're not comparing yourself to the your neighbors and who you know through church, who you know through your school network, who you know through who you play volleyball with on the weekends. But now you're seeing, all the top influencers, all the top athletes, all the top celebrities, all the millionaires on your social media. And that makes sense. And, this is a theme I've talked about a lot. Brazil, I think, shares a lot more in common with the United States than it does with its neighbors like Argentina, Colombia, Paraguay, Peru. Like, I think it's a lot more
I'd say so too.
some of the United States. And Gustavo, building on that, Brazil sharing a lot in common. I want to hear all of you guys' thoughts on this, but Gustavo, you can start us off. Do you think Brazil, especially Sao Paulo and Rio, but all of Brazil in general, is becoming a lot more woke and liberal?
Yeah, I mean, Sao Paulo especially, it's like the hotspot for any sort of innovation, whatever it's technological or sociological. And as I said, 3 years ago, broke up a long-term relationship, and then I really like dark humor, and that apparently it's not allowed anymore. People really think you're condoning the joke you make, and the humor was still is a really big part of my game. So when I was hanging out with girls that are younger than me, I'm 35, so you hanging out with the 25, 28. I mean, if she's college educated, that's a really high chance that uh, you
The
know,
woke factor, yeah.
okay, yeah, everything is oppressive, and
Political correctness, and yeah, I heard they're even trying to do a lot of diversity specific scholarships and hiring now in Brazil, like America's doing. What do you think, Kaleo?
What was the question again about scholarships?
Yeah,
I don't.
no, if Brazil's becoming a lot more woke and liberal, kind of following in the United States' footsteps with this woke madness.
I do agree that the woke culture that began in the United States is influencing Brazil, especially by means of the universities. But from my perspective, I see that it's getting its own flavor here in Brazil. For example, my American sister, she's living there, and she's all woke. She's all feminist and whatnot, and she's very masculine. Even the way she walks is masculine. She's not a lesbian. It's
Oh
just
wait,
that
sorry,
she
this is your
believes
sister in
that.
America. Sorry,
Yeah,
or
my sister is
okay,
American.
so
Yeah,
and she's full
yeah,
American. Okay, sorry, she's not Brazilian. Okay, just want to clarify that. Okay.
yeah. My sister is American. Her mom is American. Shall I say white, Anglo-Saxon, and all that,
Yeah.
implies. My dad, no, my dad is Brazilian from Sao Paulo and everything. But she takes more from her American mom side, culturally speaking, and she's all liberal. She liberal in a sense, like votes for Democrat and all that. And she has like a very woke discourse when I talk to her. I don't talk to her very often because she's far away, but when I talk to her, I see the woke influence that she grew up with. But girls here that are more on the left wing side, they're different. For example, they will never say that feminineness is an invention of patriarchy. No, they'll never say that. They will embrace their femininity. For them, the whole woke thing is more like I want to embrace my femininity. I want to show my curves, and without being judged as a slut. Just because I'm wearing a very skinny outfit doesn't mean I'm a slut. Doesn't mean I'm a girl that you should not respect. I kind of agree, depending on where the girl comes from, because sometimes the girl comes from a very poor, really humble background, and she grows up looking at these beautiful models. She just wants to become as beautiful as them. So sometimes when they take pictures on Instagram showing off their bodies, it's not really because they're a horse, but because they want to emulate the beautiful models they have seen on, when they grew up. So the wokeness here is more like I want to have a freedom to embrace my femininity without being judged. This is what I see
I
more
agree.
often.
Yeah,
You know.
I agree to that. I agree. What do you think,
Mhm.
Luis?
I think we'll probably find that out in a few months because we're gonna have an election here. It's a local, like a mayor city election, so we'll most likely find that out with percentage of people. But I would say that again, that's not really my experience with. I didn't really have a lot of problems dealing or dating those girls. Obviously, I met them, but I don't waste my time with them. And you can also find them in some specific areas, in some specific places, which are the places that I try to avoid. So yeah, they are all kind of flavors. There are all kind of flavors of uh, mindsets, like political ideology here. And I would say for the places that I go and that I do my boot camps here in São Paulo, you can find all kind of people. And if you eventually come across one of those girls that have those extreme woke ideology, think that they some people some I've seen some Brazilians that for some reason they've been in the US and they come back with this mindset, with these ideas, and you can meet them and you're trying to like get something that it's not really working there here. But I've also met a lot of girls that go to America or being aware of those things that are going on outside of Brazil, and they say like, yeah, this feminism bullshit have been destroying the society there, so let's not apply this here. So I've seen it kind of the wokeness of Brazil, I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe they reached their peak and it's falling right now. Maybe it's falling very slow, but it's falling, you know.
Yeah, I agree with more or less what you guys are saying, that the woke mind virus is infecting Brazil a bit, but like Kaleo said, it has its own flavor and it only goes so far. The disease, you guys have more an immunity. You have a natural Brazilian immunity, especially when it comes to women losing their femininity. I would say most women do not lose their femininity, even if they get a few little radical ideas. And especially in Sao Paulo, neighborhoods like Pinheiros and stuff, the ones that go too far and go into like the whole man-hating sect of feminism, they dress in a way where you can just look at them and be like, okay, that's not
you can suss out
they,
really quickly.
the blue hair, the piercings, fully tattoos. Let's talk about something that a lot of my audience wants to know. I've talked about this a lot. What are the best places to go? Let's start with you, Luis. We'll go Luis, Gustavo, Kaleo. What are the best cities for dating in Brazil as I guess anybody, or especially as a foreigner?
Go, Luis, first.
Well, the big cities are always, I would say, better than the small cities because obviously you have more options of people, more things to do, more places to visit and meet those people. But yeah, the little cities, the small parts of Brazil always have their charm and their peculiarity, you know. But I would say São Paulo, Rio, Florianopolis, Floripa is a good city. I have been recently to Belo Horizonte, uh, and I will go as far as to say that in Brazil, I haven't met people in general that are as open and kind as they are. You know, it was interesting to me being from Brazil. When the last boot camp that I did there, it was, I'm not exaggerating. All the approaches, the girls were nice. All of them. All of them.
What city is that?
Belo
Belo
Horizonte, right?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, obviously not always. They are not always interested. You know, like sometimes the conversation doesn't go too far. But in general, the girls were very open and kind, and you know, like they were not bothered if you just come to them and try to build a connection. So yeah, to say a few cities, I would say São Paulo, Rio, Belo Horizonte, Floripa, and if you want to mix some kind of cultural and party vibe, I would say Salvador is also a good city. I would be extra careful with your surroundings. Yeah, like your surroundings to not be as a stupid tourist, you know. But
but
yeah,
I gotta say something about. Oh,
Sure.
no, yeah,
no, finish first. Finish first. Finish first, because
no,
I'm gonna say something about Salvador.
yeah, I think Salvador is one of the best cities in Brazil, culturally, party wise. You know, people are knowing to be friendly as well. The food is good, so I would say it's a cool experience. You know, regarding everything that you can ask in a city.
But I gotta say something about Salvador. Um, I am. I didn't want to be politically incorrect or offend any in the audience, so I'm sorry if I will eventually offend someone. Salvador is 80% Afro-Brazilian. Maybe most of the audience are white guys who like white or white passing girls. So Salvador, I don't know if it's the best place for guys who only like whites only girls. But if a guy is into African looking or black women, yeah, Salvador is the place. Yeah, because 80% of the
Yeah.
population there is black.
Luis, did you remember, this is a long time ago. Did you remember my date, the girl that I brought to that mansion party in Sao Paulo like 2 years ago? I don't know if it's so long ago, maybe you don't remember her. She was from Salvador. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She was morena, she wasn't black. Yeah. Just to add on to this, I won't talk about this much because I have other videos on it. I actually, interestingly, have the opposite opinion. I think that the smaller cities, I always talk about in my videos, the small town strategy. I think the women in big cities get spoiled because all the rich, good-looking influencers, millionaire playboys, they all flock to these big cities. Their standards go through the roof. whereas small town girls are more down to earth. They're not comparing themselves to all these, you know, amazing men. Because if you're in kind of a shitty city and a guy comes into money, the first thing he does is leave that shitty city and he goes lives in a nice neighborhood in Rio or Sao Paulo. And I think there's a lot less competition, goes up better values. But okay, to emphasize what he was saying, Belo Horizonte is in a part of Brazil called Minas Gerais, which is also a very intellectual part. Besides Sao Paulo, I'd say Minas Gerais has a reputation for being a probably the second most intellectual part, right? Or at least up there. The girls would be definitely more fair-skinned, but I think there's a bit of everything, right? There's morenas and maybe a few black girls, but I think Belo Horizonte is more fair-skinned girls. They have a reputation for being very pretty. He said very friendly. And yes, Salvador is morenos or morenas and black. Okay, Gustavo, what do you think? Same question. Best places and talk about Belém specifically. What's Belém like, and especially, do you know how what would a white foreigner like me get treated like in Belém?
Well, first of all, the opinion about Belo Horizonte is unanimous. Even if a girl doesn't like you, she'll let you go nicely. She'll be cool about it. They are really. I mean, they've got the looks, they've got the personality. So it's a really cool place. And well, Belém, there's a lot of. Unlike Salvador, Belém is the ethnicity is more like half Iberian and half indigenous. So you get a lot of different foods and different music. I remember you were talking about the fun stuff. It's always annoying, and I hate it too. But there you get a more different. I don't know, nightlife environment. You've got regional music, you've got reggae, you've got nice nightclubs, and if you, I don't know, I think you've got to pick. First of all, I don't know if I should say that, but what kind of ethnicities you are interested in. Before you make up a decision about where you want to go in Brazil, and then you make up your mind.
Yeah, this is funny because if you ask a Brazilian guy, where are the hottest girls in Brazil? Where are the hottest girls? 99% of Brazilians would say, oh, in the south, in Floripa, Florianopolis, Santa Catarina. And then us white guys were like, bro, I didn't move 5,000 miles across the earth to leave white. Like, I don't want more white girls. I want the morenas. I want the brown morenas. I want the Pocahontas. But Brazilian guys always, they not always, but I would say typically more often than not, the average Brazilian guy wants like the blonde Barbie white skin. It's like, oh, like white skin, But yeah, any other cities you have experience with, Gustavo, that have been significantly, I don't know, you think are good for dating besides Belo Horizonte? And actually, what would you say about Belém? So Belo Horizonte gets thumbs up. Does Belém get a thumbs up for dating?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I've heard of the white guy, you get a lot of foreigner advantage in being a white guy in Belém.
Yeah, it's like double the already 2.2 got before, and like culturally, people at least going out at night, people will approach you and just, I don't know, if they hear you speaking a foreign language or anything like that, people are more welcoming and curious, I would say.
Yeah, I want to check it. I've heard beautiful, brown, and receptive.
Yeah, of more of like indigenous traits, not of African.
That's what I like. Yeah, I always say I'm a reverse racist. I'm racist against my own people. I have no use for white girls with blue eyes. Anything else you want to say, Gustavo, or about another city, perhaps, or should we move on to Caleo?
Yeah, I think depending on the environment you go, I mean, xenophilia is a thing. People like what's foreign, and it doesn't matter. Like once I was in Poland, I think it was 2016, and I would say I was Brazilian, and everybody was amazed. And it went really well.
Nice.
But
Yeah, I've heard Warsaw is amazing too. To get off topic for a bit, yeah. As far as European cities, I've heard Warsaw is amazing. Everyone says the same thing, that it's really good there.
yeah, but I lost kind of few opportunities there because I got too shit faced with the guys trying to keep up.
Oh wow, yeah.
But
European livers are no
Berlin,
different.
yeah, in Eastern Europe, it's a whole different world. But if you like the indigenous like type of girls, like mixed and stuff, Berlin's it's a really nice place to.
All right, I'm there. Can I stay? Well, you're not there anymore. I was gonna say, can I stay with you? But you're not there. Kaleo, what do you think? Best cities for dating? And you said you moved, right? You're in Sao Paulo or outside of Sao Paulo now, or sorry,
Right now
where
I'm
are
in
you
João
now?
Pessoa.
No, no,
I'm
sorry,
in João Pessoa
Gustavo.
right now. Oh, Gustavo.
Gustavo,
Okay.
where are you located again?
Sao Carlos, it's like
Yeah.
2.5 hours away from Sao Paulo.
Yeah, not in Sao Paulo. So I thought. Okay, yeah, and Kaleo, yeah, and sorry, yeah. What do you? Yeah, same question. What are the best cities for dating in Brazil?
I'm not an expert on this because I haven't known much of Brazil. But I agree with you that the smaller towns, it doesn't have to be like a very hick hillbilly town, but the smaller towns are better. As you said, the girls in big towns, they become too spoiled because they see too much. They are already in a very globalized environment. São Paulo is very globalized, but in a smaller town, yeah, it's easier to find girls. I live in my city, João Pessoa, which is the capital of my state, Paraíba. I considered it a small town. It's a small town, even though it's a capital of it's the capital of my state. It's a small town. If foreigners come here to do hookups, you guys will have a hard time because the nightlife here is not so good. But if a guy wants to find a girl to settle down and build a family, oh, so there will be plenty of girls who would love to make an American happy. I'm not kidding. I'm
I'm buying a
making this
one-way
up.
ticket.
Yeah. Why is
Okay.
it? What do Americans? Okay, so if it's somebody's turn, okay.
No, go for it. Continue.
Or- Okay.
Yeah, continue.
What is
What are
it
you
that
gonna say?
Americans have that enchants so much? Well, we grew up with Hollywood. We look at America in the movies, and it's like an enchanted land, you know. So if a girl sees a guy who is, let's say, a 5, and she's like, "Whoa, wait, this guy from this enchanted land is interested in me." This opens up so many possibilities. If I have kids with him, my kids will be American. I'm going to have access to that beautiful land. And if he's American, he's probably more refined culturally. He's going to treat me nicer than these two conservative folks, especially here in my region where I'm from. You know, my mom, for example, my mom is from a very small town in the interior of Northeast Brazil, which is more backwater. She liked my dad because my dad was from São Paulo. So imagine how that would be if she got married, if she met an American. So xenophilia, as Gustavo said, you know, it's not xenophilia just because of what's different, but what's go.
Well, I was gonna say
No,
this is something.
I
Yeah,
get my point.
it's very simple. Yeah, I think in some communities online they call it geomaxing, like geography maxing. And I've this is an obvious thing. Everybody knows. Like the simplest example is drugs. A baggie of cocaine, I believe, is probably about $5 US per gram on the streets of Colombia or Peru. But that $5 baggie of cocaine could be $400 on the streets of Tokyo because it had to travel. Its value, it may be $200 in Australia. I'm not a big cocaine consumer, so maybe it's someone in Tokyo is like, no, it's not 400, it's only 200. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a cocaine expert, but yeah, it's arbitrage. Its value changes a lot. And I think maybe Luis, maybe this is the I don't know, the reality of being I think Luis, you're about like 185 centimeters tall.
Yeah, roughly.
So he's like 6 feet, 6'1" this way, and he's probably also 6 feet this way. He's got the blue eyes, which I think is preferred in Brazil. So maybe he does really well even in competitive markets. But I always say I'm on Kaleo's side. Go more for a less competitive, smaller city. And speaking of smaller cities, I want to ask your guys' thoughts on this. This is, I guess, kind of a selfish coaching session for me, but this will help a lot, I think, open my eyes and probably for a lot of my viewers too. So a bunch of my friends, once upon a time, my Brazilian friends said, go to Goiânia. They said, Casey, not only is like everyone in the country consider the girls from Goiânia the most beautiful girls in Brazil, but they're your type. They're like the morena, brown, like the typical Latina
Pocahontas.
brown, Pocahontas looking Goiânia. Like, and as far as appearance, they were spot on. Now, here was my experience in Goiânia, and I want to contrast this to Manaus, for example. In Goiânia, if I was to follow any girl on Instagram, even like a girl who won the Miss Goiânia beauty pageant, follow her within an hour, I don't know, 50% of the girls follow me right back. Almost all the girls I swiped right on, not almost all, but like very high percentage of the girls I swipe with were a match on Tinder. And I thought, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. In Goiânia, in a few years, the next generation of babies is all going to have blue eyes and a red beard. And I'm going to, it's going to look like Ireland. It's going to look like Goiânia is going to look like Ireland because I'm going to impregnate. But what actually happened is this: flake. They would disappear. And it was nuts. Versus a city like Manaus, I had a similar thing, only they didn't flake. And I'll be honest, I was doing more online game in Goiânia and less in person, although I did do a bit of both. And then in Manaus, I was doing more in person. I was at the malls doing day game, cold approach, and a bit less online. So it's not a perfect comparison. Goiânia was more online. Manaus was more in person, but it was, not that big of a difference. So why in Goiânia were they all flaking? I wouldn't even get on video calls with girls. Like, you're not real. I would video call them. We would chat for 30 minutes. They would still flake, but in Manaus, it wasn't. Does anybody have a theory on this? Anybody can just jump in.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they flaked because they were like, whoa, so is this for real? This guy actually wants to meet me? Oh my gosh. There's a saying in Brazil. Quando a esmola é muito boa, o santo desconfia. Meaning, when the tithe in church is too much, the pastor starts to mistrust the guy who gave the tithe. Meaning, whoa, this American guy is into me. He really wants to meet me. Oh, maybe he's some dangerous guy who's going to
it's too good to be true.
Too good to be true. Yeah, too good to be true. Yes.
I'm too good to be true. This face is too good to be true to like an 8.5 Goiânia.
I'd say
Jesus. You want to talk about geomaxing? Listen up in the chat. If I can be good looking by going to the right city, you guys have hope as well. Jesus.
I'm trying to be optimistic in the theory here because
don't be optimistic. Give me the truth.
No, this is what I believe because let's see the contrary. Let's say I'm this lonely beta guy who gets no girls, and then eventually some American girl who is a 7 comes up and starts talking to me and say, "Hey, want to meet up?" Like, whoa, wait, she's not an 8 or 9, but she's American. She wants to talk to me. Wait, it's too good to be true. Come on, why would this girl even want me?
She's gonna rob me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially women. Women are more vulnerable. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was guessing maybe they thought like I'm only passing through. He just wants sex. He's not going to actually fucking live in Goiânia, which, they're right about that.
Yeah, I think that was like a big factor of curiosity. And in person, you get a greater chance of converting that simple interaction into something. I think in-person game, it's way superior, especially in that environment in Goiânia.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I want to hear Luis' thoughts in just a second. I was just going to say, the most success I had there was with girls from what's the state that Belém is in?
Pará.
Yeah, they weren't from Belém, but they were from Pará, however you pronounce it. That's the most success I got in Goiânia was girls from Pará, however you say it. Luis, what do you think? Why was I doing so well and getting very little flakes in Manaus compared to Goiânia?
I honestly wouldn't know what to say. I don't know. I was listening to the other guys. I was like, I don't know, maybe it could just be a weird coincidence. You know, I wouldn't attach the reasons why it was different than in Guyana than it was in Manaus for a particular thing. Could be the reasons why the reasons that the other guys name it, but I don't know. It's an odd scenario. I wouldn't know how to the reason why.
Okay.
Yeah, luck is always a factor.
Said looks.
No, luck.
Oh, luck. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
used to
Sorry. Yeah,
K.
luck. Yeah, luck is always factor. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta
Yeah,
repeat the
a lot of
experiment.
bad luck. Maybe, yeah, maybe I was in. You know what? When I was in Manaus, I was with my friends. We were day gaming in the malls. My charisma, my mood was better. And like I said, there was quite a bit more in-person day game approaching in Manaus. So it's not the fair comparison. It's like one was like 70% in person, 30% online, and the other one was reverse. But you guys would agree that those are two of the cities that have reputations for some of the most beautiful girls. For, let's say, from a gringo's perspective, who doesn't want to meet just a bunch of white girls, would you agree those are like probably the two top cities?
Yeah, I heard. I never been to Goiânia, so I don't have a personal experience there. It's known in Brazil that the girls are pretty there, and I would say they are definitely more different than for an American in comparison with other cities in Brazil. Definitely. Um, yeah, I would say yeah. If you, but that's the thing as well. At least this is kind of important for me. If the city doesn't have really much to do, even if they are the most gorgeous girls there, it would be just a city to be like a week or so. You know, I will get tired. So yeah, I don't know if you go there. I know there are a lot of natural environments, you know, like nature touristic places there to visit. But it's still, I'm a kind of like the big guy, the big city. You know, like I like big cities. I like to have a lot of options, people to meet. You never know who you're going to bump into. But yeah, definitely for the girls are one of the best cities, I would say.
Have you been to Manaus?
I've been to Manaus, yeah.
But you told me you just like a day or two, right? You have
Yeah, it
no
was
day.
only for 2 days, and I didn't get the chance to really explore the city. But I would say Manaus is also a bigger city than Goiânia. You
Yeah.
also have a lot of other. You have a lot of industry there, right? So you have a lot of other foreigners that live there, especially Asians. That was something that got surprised me. I didn't know there were a lot of Asians there, and I found out that it was because of the Yamaha, Toyota industry. They are all there. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that
So
out later on.
and Manaus has like a really cultural vibe that I really like. I like it. I never really explore it yet, but hopefully this year
Yeah,
I'll
they're
go there.
super proud of their indigenous roots.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
girls are beautiful. And let's just say the the receptivity and welcoming factor was very good in
I think
Manaus.
one of the and Gustavo can speak about that better than me. There is a famous party in Pará, which is the bull party, right?
What?
The bull
Yeah,
party.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most. It's probably the most traditional party and the most famous party in the state. I think most likely Casey doesn't know anything about it. You can tell him about it. That it's
No, no,
like,
is it the boy caprichoso y the boy garantido?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
but it's
maybe
like
Chris does know a little thing or
I think Pará is bigger than Texas. So the place where this party happens is like 1,000 miles from not
No,
1,000, but 500 miles
you,
from Belém.
the people.
So
I have to put my finger on it. I would say most of there are more people in Belém that have been to this party than there are from São Paulo that have been to this party. So I don't know. Maybe you know more about what's going on. You know, like what is it about, and if there's a good, you know, like atmosphere to meet people to party. I would say I don't know. I never been. I don't really know about it, but I would say yeah. You know, because I always hear that it's a big event
Yeah, it's like Barretos, the country music festival. It's like the same thing, but with a different theme. It's like
Yeah.
a week of a party.
Well, an island, right?
But
And the
you
island is
said
in the Amazon River or Rio Negro or Rio Negro, something like that, right?
what?
Isn't it? It's on an island, right?
Yeah, and it's by the river.
Okay, yeah. I know a little bit. I was there actually during that festival, completely coincidentally. I didn't go during that, but yeah, the girl told me about Boy Garanchido, Boy, I say Caprichoso, or whatever it was. Anyway, but let's answer the super chat again. Thank you, Monty. $10 super chat. Casey, you mentioned the cost of living in Rio is 3 to 4K a month. How much is the discount in smaller cities? Also, a population of 200 million plus. He means all of Brazil. I'm sure there are cute girls everywhere compared to the US. Oh, let me give my thoughts really quickly, and then you guys can chime in if you want. So I'm talking about living as like the American standard. I know people in Rio can live on a lot less than 3 or 4,000. I'm not talking about as an American to have what you would call your same American quality of life living in Ipanema, Copacabana, one of these places. I would say Rio, if you're going to, party and drink caipirinhas on the beach and stuff and have a nice place in one of those neighborhoods, Leblon, whatever it is, it's at least 3 or 4K a month. So yeah. And the smaller cities, man, Brazil as a country as a whole is expensive. Electronics are expensive, flights are expensive, but obviously I would say a city like Manaus or probably Belém or a lot of these other small cities, you have Fortaleza, Recife, probably about half the price of living in Rio. Would you guys say that living in like Recife, the cost of living is about 50% of what it would be in Rio, maybe, or 60%?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that, yeah, living in a smaller city would be 50 to 60% of the cost of living in Rio. And Rio and Sao Paulo, I'm not sure which one's more expensive. They're both totally fucked. They're both crazy high, but
Yeah, I think you can live cheaper in São Paulo, but the lifestyle, it will be a little bit more expensive here in São Paulo. So in Rio, the rent will be more expensive, but whenever you want to go to a club or just do whatever, that will be cheaper than in comparison with São Paulo.
Okay, cool. Is there anything that you guys wanted to bring? Do you have any questions? I don't know, for me or anything that any points from like my videos? I made a point where I made
I have a
Sure.
I saw the video that you were talking the negative points about Brazil, and first of all, I laughed all the way through it. Some points is very accurate, you know. I really like it when you mentioned that like Brazilians don't have a personal space.
Oh my.
And I remember when I brought my American friends or even European friends, like more like the British, the Germans, and that was something that they always mention, that they're like the people here, they just go through it, you know? And there was also when you I thought this was really bad because I shared this experience that you mentioned in the video where you get an Airbnb and the person in the place doesn't let you bring people over, you know. It's like, this is ridiculous, you know. I'm paying
I
for
didn't
this
know
shit.
about that.
Yeah, I had some experience like that, as you mentioned in the video.
Yeah, so be careful. Be careful if you guys watching. Maybe message them and try to get explicit permission, or if you can see the listing on Google Maps and there's no porteros, there's no like a little cabin, like a little house in front of it. That's where the portero, the security guard, would be. Look for places without that, because he's saying that he related to the thing I said in my video about, yeah, you can't bring guests at a lot of Airbnbs.
And I also thought it was really accurate. And this is actually something that doesn't really bother me. That you mentioned that the majority of the girls here have tattoo. Yeah, and this is not something that really bothers me, but it's very accurate. Yeah, I've seen it in comparison with other places in the world. Brazil has a tattoo culture.
Yeah.
And
No, keep going. But I just want to say one thing. Keep going, guys. But I just want to say in the chat, if tattoos, for the most part, large tattoos and intimate areas, many tattoos, bothers you, you think it's fucking disgusting, and you would never date a girl long term with a lot of large tattoos and intimate areas on the tits, on the legs, on the butt, put a 1 in the chat. So a 1 if you don't like tattoos, and put a 2 in the chat if they're just like, okay, you're not a big deal, you don't mind. And by the way, you guys know if it's your first time using StreamYard, there's a place where you can click comments, and then you click live, and you can see what all the people are saying in the chat. I don't know if you've been seeing the chat so far. But yeah, okay, so we have 1, 1, 1, 2.
I see.
You guys can keep talking, Luiz. Oh yeah, Manaus. So it also depends on state. I'd say Fortaleza, it might be like only half of the girls have tattoos. In Manaus, if you're talking young, sexy girls that look hot, work out, 18 to 30, it's 100%. There's not a single, like an old woman in Manaus. Okay, it's like 98% in Manaus have tattoos.
And it's from waitress to doctor. It's widespread.
Yeah, the thing of tattoos for girls, it became more like a permanent jewelry. You know, it's something they use to show them. Okay, what is it? What does a girl want to express when she puts even a modest tattoo, just a little butterfly or a small?
Always a butterfly. How did I?
I know it's something like
Why
that.
is it always a butterfly? I'm
or...
starting to save a Google folder. Every time I see a girl that has a butterfly tattoo, I screenshot it and put in this album. I swear to God, in a month I'll have 150 photos in this fucking Google album. I'm adding the butterfly. Why? It's like a sign of transformation.
It's a show of autonomy. It's like it's a little bit of feminism. It's like my body. I do to my body what I want. I have control of my own life. So I do a tattoo as a way to show that I'm in control of myself and how I express myself. It's kind of like a rite of passage in a way.
I think it's more shallow than that. It's like they don't want to be left out. Yeah. If there's a girl with a tattoo that everybody considers cool, or she's like high status, it's like not having a tattoo. It's like not having the hair done or your nails done, and so they don't want to be left out.
The Art of Will says he's a 1.5. By the way, we were split down the middle. It was 3 1s and 3 2s. And then this does not break the tie because we have a 1.5 here. So we're exactly still tied. 3 1s, 3 2s, and a 1.5. Can't have more ink than the Washington Post is a newspaper. So a little bit. Yeah, look, if I meet a perfect girl that's young, feminine, beautiful, smart, ambitious, treats me well, loyal, not a hoe, conservative social media, private profile, and she has like a little rose tattooed on her ankle, I'm not going to be like, recreational use only. But Gustavo, you hit the point on the head. If you ever watch my friend's podcast, the Fresh and Fit podcast, I don't know if you guys heard of it, but it's a huge podcast in the United States. They're good friends of mine. I've been on their show many times. If they go around the panel and they say, I don't know, what's one thing that you can provide for a man in a relationship? And then the girl says something weird that doesn't even make sense. I'm really good at my feminine intuition. I can kind of predict the future. And if there's a problem that's going to happen, I'm really good at sensing what that problem is going to be. Something dumb that makes no sense, but she's the first one to answer. Now, every single girl on the panel is going to copy her fucking retarded answer. Well, I'm good at predicting the future too. And yeah, I can see a problem forming from a mile away too. And yeah, I agree with what she said. I'm really good at, like, you would not have said that if this first bitch, and it was retarded to begin with, but it's like this sheep herd thing, right? They just all want to fit in.
Yeah, they should be required to write it down and read afterwards, and not hear the other person.
Dude, I was gonna say, it actually bombed. I posted an Instagram ad advertising to women in Fortaleza saying I want to do a podcast, and I couldn't get enough girls. But maybe Luis, maybe if I come back to Sao Paulo, we can try to run a podcast together. Maybe let me get Fresh and Fit to come. But that was my idea, bro. I was gonna have them write down their motherfucking answers first, so they can't copy each other and do this fucking herd mentality. That's how I would run my podcast. I'm gonna tell Myron to that. Like, give these girls a pen and paper and make them write down their answers first. Oh, we got another one tiebreaker. Someone in the chat just said, well, okay. So, but yeah, and that's a big thing. I speak for a lot of Westerners. I guess if we go by the chat, at least 50%. I guess now it's 55, 60% if we use the tiebreaker that came in. Yeah, we don't like tattoos, and that would be the one thing. So I have residency for 1 year. I got my student visa to learn Portuguese. Eu não tô usando muito, obviamente, but I do have a student visa to learn Portuguese here. But I might. Here's the thing about Brazil. I absolutely love it, and the women are amazing. Like I said, the balance between femininity and intelligence and ambition is like unrivaled. So I may stay here, but there's the tattoos is one issue because it's just really bad. I'll tell you guys a story. One of the first girls I ever had sex with, she had a tattoo, a face of her dead grandma on her shoulder.
Oh my
so like
gosh.
a portrait of her
Fucking hell.
grandma, and it had the years that she lived. It was like
Just kept staring at you.
2002. Yeah, she lived
You
like
must
she was
have really liked your
exactly.
grandma.
And I'm like fucking her from behind. I'm like looking at grandma. I'm like, sorry, grandma. I'm fucking your daughter. I went soft. I lost my erection. I'm like, sorry, granny. I don't mean to. Like, I like smack her out, and like when I smack her, like the ripples go through her back, and like granny. No, like it was an awkward.
There was no concern of busting too soon.
Yeah, for real. Just look at the granny. If you ever get a bust, just look at the granny tattoo. But the other thing too, and let me know what you guys think about this. I do love Brazilian women, and I think it's a paradise for single men because of the sexual nature of the entire country. But when you're finally looking for a wife, and there's a lot of exceptions, a lot of great girls that don't fit this stereotype that could be a wifey. But in general, aside from the few exceptions, I think generally most Brazilian girls, they come with a bit of mileage. They come with a lot of experience. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I got lucky because although it doesn't seem like it, but I'm a churchy guy, Protestant, go to church and everything. But so I got a virgin wife. I was lucky to find a girl with little mileage. You got to go to a very conservative place, a church, something like that. But those girls, they tend to be very modest, very conservative. So it's probably not the kind of girl that most guys like. For example, if I want a modest, all conservative girl, I'm gonna stay in America. That's where I can find conservative, churchy girls. Why would I go to Brazil to find a conservative girl? But I don't know if it's really that bad because I don't know that many girls. My cousins, what about their mileage? Well, they never tell me. But my best friend in college, she was a girl and hot. She has. From what she told me, her mileage was not that big. Yeah,
but okay,
I guess it's luck.
You gotta multiply by 3, right? That's the rule. Whatever the girl tells you, you have to multiply by 3.
Yeah, the American Pie rule, right?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Yeah, it's in
American Pie, but
big thing in it. Yeah, it's in all. Yeah. I don't know. What do you, Gustavo, Luis? What do you guys think? Do you think Brazilian girls typically have a lot of mileage?
It's the same everywhere, you know. Maybe you have some other countries where they are more reserved, but yeah, I've been to a lot of countries and I've seen. I wouldn't say there's a lot of difference from other places than here. Yeah.
Gustavo?
Yeah, and even if you got like a single-digit girl, you should probably roll that single digit to the bone. Like, imagine like the intensity of the sexual activity with a few guys or like not a lot of sex, but with a lot of guys. I don't know, man. I that math doesn't add up to me. It just shut that part of your brain out.
But it's something that I gotta ask to you, Casey, to you Americans in general. How much mileage is too much? Because sometimes I see these videos with California college girls. I'm like, oh, I got my body count is 25, and 25 is little. I'm 50 or 100. I'm like, whoa, can you even have that if you're that young? But to me, I don't know if a girl has had. It depends on the mileage too. If she has had 2 guys, and those 2 guys were hookups, that's bad. But if she had 3 guys or 4, but those 4 guys, they were serious committed relationships, I think it's less bad. I don't know. I don't,
American girls are hoes. Yeah, American girls are definitely hoes. The difference is this, though. I feel like American women, I don't think they can be as promiscuous with men as Brazilian girls, because American women, just by their nature, hate men. So it's harder to sleep with men when you hate men. They'd rather be lonely and live with 50 cats in an apartment in San Francisco and complain that, the tech millionaire, good-looking guy who wanted to take them out was only 5'10" or 5'9", so he wasn't tall enough. He didn't fit their standards, which is what, like 174, 175 centimeters. But I would say, and I don't know.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I don't know the research on this. You hear this all the time, and I don't like to like repeat things like that I see in an internet meme. I'm not going to, see like a meme on the internet that I'm hearing over and over again and then repeat it like it's scientific fact. But one thing you do hear about, and I would guess there's probably some truth to it, I want to look into it more, is that women lose their ability to pair bond, meaning forming long-term, meaningful, super intimate relationships after they reach like 7, 8, 9, 10 bodies. Let's just say certainly after they get into the double digits, it goes significantly down their ability, to pair bond and be with a guy. And based on a man's biology, the reverse is either not true or not nearly as true. So that's a bit concerning. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you that in general, if the girl has been with a lot of guys, her ability or even her willingness to commit it to a specific guy, it becomes harder, right? Because it becomes kind of superficial in a way, right? If this guy doesn't pleasure me in any way, I can always switch to another guy, So they are not willing to work through problems. They are not willing to just be whatever that relationship demand on her part to be. So I believe that let me try to fix my camera just a second.
Sure.
I think this
keep
kind
talking.
of girls,
Go.
any hardship, they'll just bail, and
Yeah.
they
More like
will not try to work through whatever problems come up. And I think those girls who hook up with a lot of different guys, they lose this ability to, as you said, to form a connection, or they didn't have it in the first place. Maybe I think that's like I believe that's like a certain number where of broken hearts you can have, and if you condition yourself to just superficial relationships, like we go out, he pay for drinks, and we have sex, I think it becomes part of you in over time.
Yeah, almost like a game for them. They're never happy. One word they use is hypergamy, meaning her desire to constantly go for higher and higher status guys and kind of never be happy. Yeah, Art of Will for $4.99 says, it is better to invest in a woman with a body count that is higher than the Holocaust than to invest in a single mother. Yeah, he's basically saying even a hoe that's not a single mother is better than, I don't know, a single mom with a body count, that a low body count. Neither are ideal, but yeah, I would never raise somebody else's child.
Well, as for this whole body count thing, well, I'm gonna use one of my cousins as an example. It's not the same one as I told before. Well, I got girl cousins. I gotta use them as my case study. She is ever since she was like 13, she was an 8. Now she's 35. She's like a 7. But when she was younger, she was like an 8, sometimes a 9. She had been sexually active since 16, but with boyfriends, committed relationships. It was very few times that she got wild in parties. Very few times. And now she's happily married to her husband, going to church and all conservative with 2 kids and everything, and a loving mother. Kudos to her. She told me that she doesn't really feel that youthful passion that she used to have for boyfriends when she was 16. What she feels for her husband is more like a mature admiration for a man who accepts her for who she is. So I do agree. A high body count does tend to make a girl less able to bond with a man. But I don't think that a low body count of, like, I don't know, 3 can, depending on the girl, I don't think it can really do that much damage. I don't know. Maybe I don't know that many girls.
I would say as long as you're in single digits, preferably the lower ones, but as long as you're in single digits, it's not too wild. Luis, did you want to say more?
Oh yeah, I think you guys pretty much cover everything. I agree with you all. It depends. When obviously you can have you can have one girl that is being with, like, let's say 4 guys that are just like 4 guys that just destroy her life, like 4 guys that were just like nightmare, like in all ways possible. And you can have maybe a girl that has been with 10 and they were casual hookups and relationships, and that girl will be, let's say, she will be more willing and more open to create a healthy relationship in comparison to that one that has been with fewer guys but been through all this shit. So yeah, at the end of the day, you always have to pay attention on the individuals, especially because girls are super good to fake whatever they are trying to achieve with you. Then she can be, at the same time, she can be very manipulative, even if she has less guys in her life. So yeah, at the end of the day, you have to be smart, you have to pay attention, but definitely if she has been with more guys, that will have a difference in her mindset and her emotion connection. And you have to be careful with those.
Yeah, and the reason why I say, I feel like Brazilian girls come with a lot of mileages. First of all, I mean, it's Brazil. It's the reputation for the most sexual country on the planet. I mean, Brazil is Brazil.
It's not just a stereotype.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of things. Girls have told me stories when they go on vacation, and I'm kind of like, damn, they're being that, like, they're just telling me this. Someone said in the chat earlier, Brazil doesn't have much of a slut shaming culture, meaning that, girls put shame, like in America, it's more like, oh, you're a slut, you're promiscuous. It's like a shameful thing. It's changing now. But in Brazil, I don't think they have that at all.
It does. Also, I would say girls can be very naughty with each other here.
Really? Okay.
This is like, I believe is everywhere. Like, what is the first thing a girl says when she's mad with someone else, with another girl? She will call her a whole, like, here will be a
slut whore.
So I believe between them, they could have, especially when they are young, it could be like, yeah, I'm living my life, I've been with a lot of guys and it's been amazing. But as they get older, in between them, I believe that they start looking at each other like, but why you're doing that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
hold on a second. I think here, to be considered a real slut, whoa, that girl is a real slut. It's when a girl starts hitting on other girls' man, on another girl's boyfriend. If the girl is skimpy and all that, Brazilian women in general, they tend to be more skimpy than Western American or European women. But if they don't hit on other women's men, if they don't cheat on their partners, they're not considered sluts. They're just skimpy, but they're not sluts. They're sluts. They're considered sluts if they hit on other men, on other women's men. Then they would be considered sluts, real sluts. Yeah.
Yeah, being outside a piece here is very taboo.
Be what?
Like a side piece, like a monkey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Side chick, side bitch. And this is one thing that really opened my eyes up to, I guess, a lot of things. You guys are gonna laugh when you hear this too. So I'll go into one of these, small cities. I know Fortaleza isn't small, but it's like, from an American, you just think, oh, there's Rio and Sao Paulo. There's no other cities in Brazil. I know Manaus is not a small city, but I'm talking about from the American, like, passport bro tourist perspective. Recife, Fortaleza, Manaus, certainly Goiânia. And I'll be in these cities, and of course I'm going to right away connect with the other gringos. I have almost 10,000 subscribers now. I have 2,000 on Instagram. I post. I meet the other gringos. And what do guys like to do, especially other dating coaches and guys who are out in foreign countries specifically for dating, is show off the girls that we banged. Oh, check it out, bro! Like I banged her, and oh, what do you think of this one? Oh, she's coming over tonight. There has been many, many, many occasions where I'll be like, oh, dude, let me change. Okay, I'll change the name. I'm like swiping the one. I'm like, oh, I fucked this girl. Like she's beautiful. I'm like 8.5. What do you think? He goes, oh yeah, Bruna. Yeah, I fucked her 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, motherfucker, like what the fuck? And then I'll show another girl. I'm like, okay, let me change the name. Allison. Yeah, what about Allison? Oh yeah, like my friend banged her. I'm like, oh my god, like so I don't know if like all these girls are just like they have a type. They all see like a blue-eyed gringo, so it's just like maybe they're not fucking a lot of guys. They're just all fucking the gringos that pass through. But it's not very comforting that anytime I meet an American in Manaus, Recife, like I just know that we're gonna be Eskimo brothers in a matter of a week because we're gonna get on.
That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the girls who have like this gringo fever, they really go for it.
Yeah. We got another one in the chat, by the way, another vote against tattoos. But yeah, that's kind of disgusting. I have two more questions, and we can make these super quick. I want to be respectful. If anyone has to go now or whenever, you guys are free to go. If you guys want to stick around longer, I got all night. I got nothing better to do. But you guys can ask me questions or bring up a topic. And like I said, we can go through these really quickly. Can someone just explain? I got the Chat GPT definition, and I'm going to say it wrong again. Jeitinho culture. Can someone pronounce that correctly and then explain what it is?
Jeitinho brasileiro.
Jeitinho.
The Brazilian little way of doing things. This jeitinho, it has mostly to do with getting things done when the system is not operating as well as it should operate. For example, I'm in a bank. Well, now we can solve things by means of the app, right? But back in the day when apps were non-existent, we had to go to the bank to pay a bill. And the line was really big. So the jeitinho is like, oh, I know the cashier. Oh, cashier, come on, you're my friend. Come on. You see, can you help me out, So the cashier will be like, hey, I know you're my friend. I'll help you out, okay? You can cut the line because you're my friend. So that's what we call the jeitinho. To bend the rules to favor a guy or a person who you're familiar with. It's like a whole sociological study about that.
It's a marriage of bribery and nepotism. As simple as that. You either know a guy and you get favorable treatment, or you offer something and get something in return.
Gotcha.
And it's like a widespread.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's like jeito, like a way. It's a little way, a jeitinho. Now I get it. It's jeito. Yeah, in America you would say you have a hookup, or you would say you're greasing the wheels, which is almost like a bribe. Okay, cool. Is there anything else you guys want to say on that? Someone put that in the comment that was like an important thing to know about Brazil. I don't know if we need to spend any more time on that, unless someone has something they want to add. Sure.
I want to talk about the whole race thing. It can be controversial. If someone is thinking, oh, well, it may be easy for white guys to come to Brazil and get girls, but I'm Asian American, so they won't look at me and see an American in me. Well, I don't think so. I think that because of the K-pop Korean soap operas that are very popular here in Brazil now, Asian men are becoming desirable here in Brazil. They look at Asian guys and be like, whoa, he's a gentleman and all that, because of Korean soap operas. And black guys too. They look at American black guys and be like, whoa, he's manly and all, and that deep American black guy voice. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. In Brazil, we are more friendly with the whole race thing. Yeah, girls will like you too. It's not just white guys. Non-white guys can have fun here too.
Luis, you saw that mansion party we had like guys that
Yeah.
were like Pakistani, Indian, white, black. Did you see any? And they were like kind of nerdy guys that paid to, you know, get dating coach help. They were software engineers. Did you see anybody at that party not crushing it?
To be honest with you, the guys were really awkward. Some of the guys, I'm not gonna be saying everyone, but there's some of the guys, because I was hearing the conversation, and I was like, these guys are just like super lost, like they are like the target for the interesadas,
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, in general, yeah, they were, let's say, attracting the girls. The girls were interesting and curious to talk with them, but I would say they didn't know how to pull the trigger. They were just like
Yeah.
having boring conversations. But yeah,
Yeah, again, not all of them were like James Bond, but I'm just saying, like, again, maybe I was in my own reality, but from it looked like in the wide shot from my perspective that they were all talking, flirting. A lot of them were getting makeouts and stuff. Yeah, not that they were all super Casanovas or anything. But yeah, and this is what I might say too. There's also something to consider is like, what do you call it? Like the fetish factor or how intense the attraction is. So if you put me, let's say you put me into a nightclub like XS in Las Vegas. So this is at the Encore Hotel. It's summertime, XS nightclub, best nightclub in the world. There could be, I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but 10,000 people. Maybe it's not that many, but a lot of people come through there on a particular night, right? Many of whom are beautiful women. I would rather have 1%, we're saying like all the women, 1% of the women think I'm the hottest guy they've ever seen, and 99% think I'm ugly as fuck, versus just every girl is like, well, maybe she'll like you, maybe she won't. You can spit your game, and it just kind of depends, because just by a law of averages of large numbers, you're going to approach girls, and then maybe 1%'s a little extreme, but and then to speak to your point about the Asian or something, even if most Brazilian girls would prefer a white guy, the ones that do like Asians might just be like hyper attracted to Asian guys and make your life really easy, because they're like, well, listen, I'm not going to see another Asian for a while. And now in Sao Paulo, they have a lot of Asians, but if you're in Goiânia, you may be one of a few Asian people she's met in her whole life.
Yeah, there is that fetish factor. Yeah. The cousin
So
that I
maybe-
told about, she's married to an Asian guy.
Oh, there you go.
So,
What my last question then, if you guys want to bounce or stick around, if you want to bring up any other topics, you're welcome to. We can get some inspiration from chat. And this is, I've never been to the south of Brazil. It's Santa Catarina is one state, and I think there's another one, Floripa, Florianopolis, all this. I've never been to the south. Of all the comments I got on my, like, these are like the negatives about living in Brazil, everyone, I'm a Brazilian here, Brazilian guy checking in. Everyone just said, yo, the rest of the country's fucked up. The South is where it's at. The South is just paradise. The South is heaven. All the rest of Brazil is fucked. Is that true? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
yeah, there is.
I think when you nail it there, when you mentioned that the Brazilian guys in general, they all more attracted to blonde blue eyes. That's the reason why they would say those places. But if that's not something that you're into, and I would say that's not something that you have scarcity in America, you don't have to go there. Obviously, I would say they are a bit different than the American girls. I think I mentioned that with you in the other podcast, because they are more tan, so they are not as like the white girls in America. But the only reason why I would say most Brazilians say that you have to go to these places, it's because of that, because the girls they look more Germans and Polish. But yeah, that's not really my type of girls as well. That I prefer more, like, I have a more an American taste, let's say. I rather like brunettes, Pocahontas style. So yeah, if you're not into those kind of aesthetics, don't bother. Go to other places that we mentioned here.
And real quick, I'm glad you answered in that direction. But another direction they were saying is some of the things I said I didn't like. I didn't like Manaus, for instance. 99% of the girls have tattoos. I didn't like people bumping into me, invading my personal space. Whatever craziness. What other things I said? Maybe Brazilian funky music, and there are a few other little things that I can't recall right now. but they said that those things as well, like there's way fewer tattoos.
That would be true as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just
would
there's
agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, way fewer tattoos, more respect of personal space. Funky is less popular.
Yeah.
And
That's
okay.
actually something that I really appreciated when you said
Oh,
it. 'Cause I fucking hate funk as well. Like
bro.
it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I
Yeah,
fucking
it's just
it's the it's always the same beat. It's like why?
Yeah.
Why do you guys
Just
yeah,
and
extremely
yeah.
repetitive and
yeah. I don't understand the lyrics, but I just hear like me listening to funk is like, I don't understand, I don't understand, I don't understand. Beijo, kiss. I don't understand, I don't understand. Bacher na bunda, like spank the ass. Like it's just
Yeah.
I don't like it's like I don't understand a word, and then it's like fuck, spank, sex. Like just yeah, apparently it's the
No
most vulgar
melody.
music.
There's no melody. It's
Would you
always
say?
the same. I said there is no melody.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like kind of ups and
Repetitive.
downs. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the
I would
same.
I go insane if I'm like listening to that and let's say in a party, I will leave.
It's like Americans, to my credit, Americans, we produce mumble rap, which is absolute garbage as well. So I can't be too critical, but I would say funky is even a little bit worse. But yeah, mumble rap. Americans, we're guilt. We have our sins as well. Mumble rap is absolute trash.
yeah, but
Okay, so
like 5 to 10 years ago, the funk was like not common outside of the specific places, and now it's everywhere. Like I was trying to find out this weekend like electronic music party, but there is always a bit of funk everywhere. I mean, it's mandatory. And
yeah, it's awful.
It's
Real
because
quick,
music here is more to make the girls feel sexier and start
yeah,
twerking their butts, asses, yeah, start twerking their asses, and not to appreciate whatever is being sung. Yeah,
yeah, just get drunk and what can I move my bunda to? Do you guys
and
want to add on anything about so are these guys that are commenting about we can talk about the girls as well, but even just like a lot of the issues that the rest of Brazil has is the South. Like again, I don't know. I'm just a dumb gringo.
I
I've
have
never even
something to
been
say
there, but
about the South. The South, the reason why
like
they
they just
say,
say
"Oh,
it's
it's a little
better. They just
different."
say the people are smarter, they're more conservative, less tattoos, but maybe they're just they're from there, so they're arrogant. I don't know, but you guys let me know.
I'm not
I
from the
would
South. I'm
say
from the extreme opposite. I'm from
No, I'm
Northeast,
talking about
which is
the
the
people. Sorry, the people who commented on my videos who say that
yeah.
the
I will give
South
you
is better. Yeah,
some view. My girlfriend's from the South, and I've recently, well, in the last couple of months, I would say I've been visiting there more often. And I will be honest, I didn't know this particular part of the culture there, but I would say it's a good comparison with rednecks in America, where they have this mentality that they are really close. They are really like they don't like to leave too much the state, and they have this very like a religious part. I'm especially talking about outside of Porto Alegre, which is the capital. So outside of Porto Alegre, they have more of this mentality where they're going to marry the first person that they hook up, and especially to leave their parents' house. This is like one of the main reasons, like they just want to leave their parents' house and they will marry someone. But because they have this very strong religious background, that plays a very big part of their decision making process. So I didn't know that, like because it's kind of like the south of Brazil has this fame to be a bit different, but I start to realize that it's a bit different in a negative way in a lot of cases. Because I've met a lot of people. My girlfriend's from there. So I was hanging out with the people there, with their friends, and they all kind of been through the same experience where they were really young and they got like married, or they got like they got pregnant, and now they are divorced, and they have this weird relationship with their ex-wife or ex-husband. So yeah, definitely there are some other weird situations going on there as well, you know.
Kaleo,
Yeah,
what do you
it's
or Gustavo, go
Yeah,
for it.
I can agree with that
Either.
too. The way of life there is more conservative than the rest of Brazil. My brother, he traveled to Curitiba or Florianopolis, one of those two cities, for work, and he went to the mall just to buy something and check how to see people. And he noticed that the girls they would not wear heels, and heels is something that girls wear here because it makes their hips way more sensual. But in the south, he saw that the women did not wear heels, especially when they were more in their 30s, not so old, but still, it's they're more modest. I think it's because of the German Polish influence from Europe, whereas in the more north areas, the northern areas, is less European, so it's more fluid and sensual. Oops, maybe I sounded a bit racist now. Sorry.
I don't know if it was just me. I think you cut out just a little towards the end, but I think
Oh, did
we
I?
got the majority of your point. Just a bit at the very, very end, but we got like the German influence, the Polish influence.
Yeah.
They're more conservative because of the background. Yeah, but just to clarify, and Luis already clarified this once, but I'll just make it real quick. They don't look like per se Polish or German girls. Maybe a few look like they came straight from Germany, but the majority of them are like German mixed with Brazilian. So they have quite a few of like the traditional Brazilian woman characteristics mixed with European. So there's quite a like if you like melanin like me, from what I've heard, like tan. I guess like a lot of girls might there have almost like that golden orange complexion. Some of them,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I like that. Gustavo, did you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's this superiority complex, or I don't know. They have their community running that way, and they don't want it to change. But I don't know. I think it's more like too broad of a generalization. I think it's worth checking out
But
and
one thing
seeing for
for
yourself.
sure, the South, if you want to eat a good steak, that's where you have to go. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
the
South?
most, yeah, the traditional churrasco from Brazil. That's where you have to go if you want to try the best, and not as expensive as other places. You know, so the best meat, and I would say it's a more debatable point of view, but Florianopolis is also good, very famous for fish. It's famous to have very good fish there. They have cold waters, so the fish they have a bunch of rivers and also the ocean. But definitely for steak, go to the south because that's where you're going to find the best. Yeah,
Well,
it's
I'll
very
go to the South.
yeah.
Say it again. Sorry, I don't know if my internet's a little choppy. I'm on my mobile internet now because I think the internet in my room went out. But
Listen,
yeah,
I gotta go.
okay, cool. Well, yeah.
Hey,
Real quick,
so
do
do
you want to
I.
just
My wife is asking me
okay?
to go to sleep, so I'd love to stay longer,
Sure.
but my wife is telling me that I should go to sleep because if I stay
Okay,
awake, I'm gonna
Luis,
not let her
hang on
sleep.
just 1 second, Luis. Kaleo, yeah, thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure.
Me too. I say the
Boa
same.
Ciao.
noite.
Boa noite.
And then, Luis, right before you sign off, do you want to just tell the people how they can find you, how they can find out more, how you help guys and stuff? Because again, like I said, if you're just tuning in now, Luis is a certified dating coach. He's born and raised in Brazil. He's also lived in America, but he's born and raised in Brazil. And yes, if you're looking for someone to help you navigate Brazil, and from a dating perspective, he's the top authority to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, if you want to find more about the contents that I make, it's always in Portuguese. But if you hit me up on Instagram, I can personally talk with you and As you can see, I can speak your language. And yeah, if you need any other information, or as Casey said when he was learning Portuguese, he was watching my videos. Yeah, go ahead if you are interested to speak Portuguese. I tried not to speak too fast Portuguese, so it's more very clear communication. But yeah, if you are coming to Brazil and if you just want tips, if you want to know more about the culture, whatever I can help, I will be more than glad to do it. And yeah, definitely come here. It's one of the Casey can talk from his point of view as an American. But yeah, I would say being a guy that has been traveling a lot, it's one of the best cultures to explore and to meet people. There are a few problems like any other country, but yeah, it's definitely worth to check it out, especially if you are coming to South America. I would say it's either top one or top two. Yeah, that's yeah. You can find me on Instagram, same me, the same name that it is in here. Casey put the Instagram on the comments. On YouTube is the same name, and yeah, I think that's
Cool.
it.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you so much for being. And I don't know if you're in Sao Paulo, but yeah, I'll be in Sao Paulo in like 2 weeks. So if you're there, I'll hit you up. I owe you a picanha for
And I will
doing this for me.
connect you with my student that
Oh,
I
thanks. Yeah, I
started.
appreciate it.
He's living in Fortaleza. It will be a cool connection for you to
Awesome.
be out
Obrigado.
there. All right, guys. Bye. Ciao.
Ciao, brother.
Cheers, guys. Bye. It was a
All right,
pleasure.
Gustavo, you're gonna sign off too. All right. I guess Gustavo will sign off too. Yeah, we'll close out the live.
Bye.
Ciao, brother. I'll stay on for a minute, answer any last minute questions. If anyone's anything for me. Someone said here in Argentina, the girls. I'll just read it as he wrote it. It's not the best grammar. Here in Argentina, the girls to go for are those who don't know English. Is it the same in Brazil? I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I think you're trying to say, do Brazilian girls go for guys who don't speak English? No, Brazilian girls are open to like foreigners, Brazil, like other like Americans, French, Canadian. They also like their own Brazilian men. They're very open. All right. If there's no last minute super dire questions, I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. Cheers.